Ever wondered what's hidden behind Nike's famous swoosh? Uncover the shocking truth behind their rise from sweatshops in developing nations to a global billion-dollar powerhouse. Nike is a name that screams success and innovation in sportswear, but behind this shiny image lies a history of exploitation and controversy. From the cramped factories of Indonesia to global outrage over sweatshop conditions, Nike has faced intense scrutiny for its labor practices. Despite its billion-dollar empire, claims of underpaid workers and unsafe conditions linger. This deep dive into Nike's hidden past exposes a story where corporate ambition often clashes with ethical responsibility, revealing the stark realities behind the swoosh logo, the rise of Nike. In the early 1960s, Bill Bowerman and Phil Knight set out to revolutionize athletic footwear by founding Blue Ribbon Sports, BRS. With just a $500 investment each and a handshake deal, this duo, Bowerman, a track coach, and Knight, his former student, started their ambitious journey. Their goal? To challenge the dominance of established sports brands and offer something new. The game changed in 1971 when BRS rebranded as Nike. This transformation was marked by the debut of the now iconic swoosh logo, designed by a student for just $35. This was more than just a name change. It symbolized Nike's commitment to excellence and innovation in sportswear. Nike's rise was swift. By the mid-1970s, their waffle-soled running shoes were a hit, known for their comfort and cutting-edge design. Sales soared, hitting $1 million by 1972. Nike's drive for technological advancements solidified its position as a leader in athletic gear. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Nike continued to break new ground. Endorsements from superstar athletes like Michael Jordan propelled Nike to global fame. The Air Jordan series, launched in 1985, wasn't just a shoe. It was a cultural milestone that changed basketball footwear forever. By the 1990s, Nike's annual revenues had surged past $3 billion, cementing its status as a sports industry giant. But the journey wasn't without controversy. Nike faced growing criticism over labor practices in its overseas factories, sparking debates and calls for reform. Labor practices, the sweatshop scandal. In the 1990s, Nike came under intense scrutiny for its outsourcing practices, with allegations that its factories in developing nations were nothing short of sweatshops. These facilities, mainly in Indonesia, Vietnam, and China, were notorious for their unsafe working conditions and wages that barely met living standards. The revelations led to widespread outrage from labor rights activists and consumers. Critics accused Nike of valuing profits over ethics, highlighting disturbing issues like child labor, hazardous working conditions, and inadequate compensation. Workers were exposed to harmful chemicals without proper protection and faced forced overtime without fair pay. Nike's initial attempts to address these concerns were met with skepticism, as critics argued that the company's oversight of subcontractors was lacking. Under mounting pressure, Nike set out to reform its supply chain practices. The company partnered with labor rights groups and hired external monitors to inspect factories and enforce labor laws. By the early 2000s, Nike began publishing annual reports to show its progress in improving working conditions and adopting sustainable practices. Child labor allegations. The 1990s also saw Nike grappling with severe backlash over allegations of child labor. Reports revealed that some of Nike's factories in Asia employed children as young as 10 under harsh conditions. This exploitation led to global protests and condemnation from human rights organizations. Nike's reputation suffered as activists highlighted the stark contrast between the company's massive profits and the dire conditions faced by its workers. In response, Nike pledged to increase the minimum working age and improve factory conditions. Despite these promises, doubts persisted about the effectiveness of these measures and Nike's control over its global supply chain. The company continued to face criticism into the early 2000s, including further allegations of child labor in Pakistan's soccer ball manufacturing, which further marred its public image. Environmental impact, pollution, and sustainability. Nike, a global leader in sportswear, has faced growing criticism over its environmental impact. The company's manufacturing processes have been linked to severe environmental issues, particularly water pollution and high carbon emissions. Factories producing Nike products often release harmful chemicals into local waterways, damaging ecosystems and affecting nearby communities. Additionally, the production of Nike's athletic gear contributes significantly to global warming through substantial carbon emissions. Nike has made some efforts to improve its environmental footprint through its Move to Zero campaign, which aims to cut greenhouse gas emissions and boost the use of sustainable materials. The company reports a reduction of 0.5 million tons in greenhouse gas emissions as part of this initiative. However, critics argue that these efforts are insufficient. They point out that while Nike's sustainability goals are ambitious, the actual impact is limited. The popularity of high-demand products like leather Jordans and Dunks has slowed progress toward these environmental targets. Moreover, recent layoffs of key sustainability staff have raised doubts about Nike's commitment to these issues. To genuinely contribute to a healthier planet, Nike needs to address concerns about water pollution and carbon emissions more effectively, with greater transparency and stronger actions. Corporate culture and ethics. Examining Nike's corporate governance and ethical standards reveals ongoing challenges in transparency and accountability. As a leader in the sportswear industry, Nike carries the responsibility of maintaining high ethical standards. Corporate governance involves the rules, practices, and processes by which a company is directed and controlled, ensuring transparency and accountability to stakeholders, including customers, employees, and investors. Nike has made progress in becoming more transparent about its operations and decisions. However, critics argue that much information remains obscured, making it difficult for the public to fully understand how the company addresses environmental and social issues. Continued efforts to improve transparency are crucial for building trust and demonstrating Nike's commitment to ethical practices. Legal battles and reputational damage. Nike has encountered numerous legal battles over labor violations, resulting in significant financial settlements and damage to its brand reputation. Accusations of poor working conditions in its factories have led to lawsuits, exposing issues like low wages, long hours, and unsafe environments. These legal challenges have not only cost Nike financially, but have also harmed its public image. When reports of labor violations surface, they erode consumer trust and lead to a questioning of the brand's ethical practices. This loss of customer loyalty underscores the ongoing struggle Nike faces in maintaining its ethical standards and rebuilding its reputation. Reform and future outlook. In recent years, Nike has taken significant strides to address criticism and enhance its corporate responsibility. The company has launched several initiatives aimed at improving its practices and securing a better future. One key step has been implementing rigorous supply chain audits. These audits ensure that all factories and suppliers adhere to Nike's ethical standards. By regularly reviewing these facilities, Nike can swiftly identify and tackle issues such as poor working conditions or unfair labor practices. Nike is also focused on improving worker wages within its supply chain. This not only benefits the workers, but also helps bolster the company's reputation. Fair compensation is a crucial part of demonstrating respect and dignity toward employees, building trust with consumers who are increasingly concerned about ethical practices. Additionally, Nike has invested in sustainable practices, striving to reduce its environmental footprint through the use of eco-friendly materials and processes. Looking ahead, Nike remains committed to advancing its reforms. The company is not satisfied with just incremental progress, but is continually seeking innovative ways to enhance its sustainability and ensure that all aspects of its operations align with its ethical values. Nike aspires to set a benchmark for corporate responsibility, leading the way for other companies to follow. Through these efforts, Nike aims to solidify its role as a leader in both ethical practices and sustainability. Nike's evolution from controversy to corporate reform highlights the intricate challenges of managing global supply chains and maintaining ethical business practices. By understanding these issues, consumers gain the power to demand greater accountability from the brands they support. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to the 2 Minutes Entrepreneurship channel.